Right now, as I'm recording this on this 11th day of December of 2024, there are atrocities being committed by people in power, by government heads, by so-called leaders that are infinitely worse and more horrific than the famous bad boy in Germany in 1940s. Infinitely worse. They do it in the name of religion. They do it in the name of political dissidents. Whatever. The type of atrocities that is being committed, some of it has come out about Syria and the prisons they had. They should not be called prison. They were holes, 30 meters, that's about 90 feet underground, where people were living in unspeakable conditions. I don't want to ruin your day by telling you the details of it. I'm sure you can hear about it in the news as much as the news filters it. But people were living in these holes, dark holes underground. And many of them died from hunger and torture. They were made to do things you cannot imagine in your worst nightmare. They were making family members, brothers and sisters, torture each other. Or the option was, we'll torture you and we kill you because you just watched the other guy being tortured to death. Or you'll have to torture your own family members. So you choose which one you want to do. They were subject to rape. They were forcing family members to rape each other. Things that you cannot imagine in your worst nightmare. I repeat, infinitely worse than the bad boy in Germany in the 1940s. And the only reason that they are not as successful in terms of their number and the efficiency of the so-called enemies of themselves that they gather and eliminate is because they weren't as clever and organized and disciplined as the Germans were. Because obviously Germans are known to be organized, disciplined, clever, and good engineers. So sadly, during that time, they were using those, powers to eliminate the people they didn't like. But these people, let's say the leader of Syria and the leader of Russia and the current occupiers, terrorist, religious fanatics that have occupied the country of Iran since 1979. And funny thing is, the three countries that I just mentioned are buddies and allies. Now, thank God, one of them was eliminated, thanks to Israel and whoever helped these Muslim rebels to get rid of this guy. And the leaders of Iran, think about this, the leaders of Iran and the leader of Russia, Putin, was clearly aware of what's going on. And they propped up this guy, Bashar Assad, and they supported him, and they made sure he stays in power and his enemies are bombed and treated in the way that I just explained to you in these holes in the ground called prison because of their own interest. So the person that supports this, knowing what's going on, like Putin, like the current occupiers in Iran, which I hope they're next to be eliminated, they are just as guilty because they're doing the same thing to their own people. You think that political prisoners in Russia are treated any better than what the bad boy in Germany did to Jews? A mention of the word war in Russia can get you 15 years. We know what they do to the famous people that other countries and the world is aware of, like this Navalny character in Russia that was challenging the rule of Putin. He was given a phony sentence of 15 years, and then after they serve about 3-4 years, they add another 10 years to it. Finally, he was poisoned and killed in prison, like all the other political enemies of Putin. And now only imagine what they do to the ones who are not famous and the world does not know about. Only imagine that, you know. Prisons in Siberia where negative 30 degrees is normal without heat. They basically torture them to death so that others are afraid to oppose the government. In Iran, when they took over in 1979, when the so-called Muslim terrorists took over, they would deliberately hang people from cranes in the street so that others could see, and their purpose was to scare others into not, challenging their rule. Say, hey, if you do that, this is where you end up. They deliberately, whereas other countries, normal countries, they execute people in the prison through various means. But in Iran, they when these guys took over, thanks to Jimmy Carter, these guys were hanging people from cranes in the streets. So the point of my video is, don't think that what happened in Germany was a one-off thing, that the world has come to a better understanding, and those things don't happen anymore. They are happening right now as I'm recording this video, and on steroid and turbocharge, 1,000 times worse. 1,000 times worse. That is the reality that we're facing right now in the world. That's what's really going on. You ask yourself, how can somebody do that to another human being? But these people have no conscience. They're psychopath. They're too married to their power, and they feel invincible, and they don't care. They're not like you and I. They have no sympathy, no empathy, no feelings at all. Killing another human being, that's nothing. That's easy, But those torturous conditions where people are in prison for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, they don't even know. A lot of the people that are now freed from the prisons of Assad, they don't know where they are. They don't know what country they're at. They don't know what the date is. They think that Bashar Assad's father, Hafez Assad, they think that he is still in power. They've been in prison for that long. Just imagine that. This video was meant to be like a wake-up call for those who don't know what time it is. All the best.